told by reading that the council did it, and she did it. Council, I don't know about you, but I don't ever remember telling meetings to cut the happy hour, the 2 for 1s, or any of that. That's the only thing I have as a question in that, and you guys can discuss that, but that is a concern. So, I guess.
Did we not discuss at a meeting as well of taking 50% of the pool tab monies and apply them to the EDA? Did we not discuss that?
We discussed it, but nothing was acted on.
Okay, so I see a supervisor doing their job if we know that this is coming down the pipe. I mean, this was something you brought forward, Laura. I agreed with you on that issue. I think this is a supervisor doing their job because they're understanding they're gonna have to change revenues. That's the supervisor's job.
I don't think, I mean, for me, I'm not questioning, I mean, it's your decision as manager, what you do. However, I don't think you got direct, like, council did not directly say cut happy hour, and I think that's the problem I have. I did speak with, this gal about this, and she did inform me, that it was very clear that this came directly from the council, which I don't feel like we did. It's your choice to make whatever cuts as supervisor. So all I'm asking is just take some ownership in it. Like any decisions we make, we absolutely have to take ownership in it. So if you're gonna make that decision, that's great, just make it and we'll stand behind you on it, but don't throw us under the bus for it, I would ask.
Have you seen any changes other than potentially this of cutting those hours?
A little bit, not a lot. I mean, you still got more people coming in at 4 now instead of 3.
Sure.
So it isn't a drastic change that I've seen, no.
Okay.
So did you cut happy hour then?
I made
Or
it
2
from
for
4 to
1?
6.
Oh,
It's still
okay.
2 for 6. It took 2 for 1.
Okay.
Instead of
You
3 to
just-
6, it's 4 to 6.
Oh, so you just cut the hour?
Correct.
Okay. See, and we were misinformed on that too, because the people that were upset about this, not only this gal, there were more. And they were probably not correct in what they said either, because they said it was. Yeah, I
Not gonna
understand.
Make anybody happy, I get that, but the Saturday is still $1 off, so
Okay.
that is,
Okay,
but
okay. Well, I guess we don't need to beat a dead horse, but does anybody else have any questions for Rini?
And I do have something I have typed up, but I would like someone to read it out loud. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
First,
Oh, you can do it first, absolutely.
Okay. This is my official resignation as manager of the Osakis Liquor Store. My last day will be November 4th, 2024. I'm giving you 3 weeks' notice to find someone. I'm requesting my full vacation, comp, and sick time per contract. They say you can't fight City Hall and win. This is true. Because of personal conflicts and vendettas with Dan, Laura, and sometimes Angela, this is most of the reasons I am resigning. The micromanaging and harassment is getting old, and I'm leaving for similar reasons as graduate. Since becoming manager in 2019, the liquor store has made good profits even while making improvements. I have tried to get a full-time person but have been denied as a council. We need a full-time person. When a department has an issue and it is solved, it should not keep getting brought up. This happens in every department except City Hall. In this last ordeal, I had to get the union involved because a few council members wanted to push an issue that was already solved. I filed a grievance because the council blatantly violated disciplinary procedures under contract. I am owed an apology for this, but I will never get one. It is a no-win situation for me. Sincerely, Green Good.
A motion to accept that.
Okay. Renee, can I just ask you a question? How does can you say that about Dan, Laura, and Angela? I would like to know. And we can talk about this some other time.
No, we don't need to, because we all know what happens, Dan. Everybody knows. I'm not gonna get into it with you right now. No.
Well,
You know what,
okay.
you're right, everyone does know, and it's a good thing you probably put your resignation in before we reviewed that other report, because I had a lot of other things to say, and it's absolutely not personal. It's a business thing, and I would love for you to give some examples sometime of something that doesn't pertain business-wise. I've asked you to be accountable to certain things, and like I've asked other supervisors to be accountable.
I have tried to, but apparently it's not good enough. Here with the paper for it. So,
Okay, there was a
Done.
motion. Is there a second? Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Guess we maybe need to put that to the end of the agenda to discuss, advertising, or do you want to talk about it now? Or maybe in light of it, while it's fresh in our memory, I guess we better put something in the newspaper.
We put it at the end, well, so things kind of have a little chance to settle down a little bit.
Sure. A little liquor store to the end.
Okay, moving on. Budget, Angela?
Okay, so on the budget item I have there, we had discussed at our budget meeting, the couple things that were changed. I had a clarification question on the first responders. In there was a 26,000, it should be 20,000. And then also we had discussed hiring the fourth guy and paying for the budget for the rest of this year. And so I had figured out the cost of what we would have for the remainder of this year. And I had talked to Darren earlier today and taken that out of the street department. He said he wasn't gonna do some road projects, so we would have the money from there to use for this, because we're taking him out of parks. So I just need a motion to change those two budget items, is what it's for.
I'll make the motion to change those two items.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Ordinance, city administrative citations, Chad?
I spoke with Steve Jones today, and we sent out 2 more follow-up letters to the 7 that were sent out last month. Otherwise, compliance is coming along with them. But he was pleased.
Okay,
Thank you. That we could maybe move into this one.
For Jeff?
Yeah.
we sure could.
I mean, I know we told them what we didn't actually say where we were gonna put them, I'm just wondering if we can.
Darren's not here, right?
No.
So before we go on to that, let's move on to Jeff Martin. Jeff, if you wanna come up, and Ken, if you wanna stay down, that's fine too. Please introduce yourself for us.
All right, I'm Jeff Martin, met with your city development team, I think, to discuss a dream that I have of moving a houseboat up here and doing a marina, and then doing charters on houseboats. So my first part of my plan was to get everything situated, buy a boat, pick what I like about it, find out the maintenance costs, everything that's involved. I passed that stage now. Next one was picking the location, and I think Osakis is the perfect location for it. I have many friends that live out here, so the option was to find out which property. I did start researching it last year and was talking with the gentleman that has the 15 acres. And that's when I met Tanya. And Tanya discussed working with you guys and looking at better options. So she brought up 3 lots that I could look at and try and see if any of those would work. So after researching all 3 of those lots, I narrowed it down based on water depth and everything for location. My biggest challenge with pulling this off would be getting the boat in the water and taking it out in spring and fall. So I first looked at your city launch, and it is wide enough, except for with the dock in the middle, I can't do it. So then it would be trying to put it in before the dock went in, pull it out after the dock comes out. But over this 3 years of owning the boat now and maneuvering it, I did find out that turtles can eat a boot under the motor and it'll start taking on water. So I started realizing if something would happen and it took on water, that wouldn't be a good option because I wouldn't be able to pull it out with the dock there if need be. So looking at those 3 lots and working with them, we like the City Beach one. And I think after discussing with them, coming off the pier and going through the cemetery area, so that the City Beach could still be used. It's got enough room for a launch. If I put it in, coming off that road where I could pull out the boat and we could sit over winter, if that's acceptable. But I'm just looking at the options I have in place to make this dream, or if you guys see anything that would be an obstacle for me going forward before I settle. That's the next stage, is to pick the land, because I can't be with DNR until I got the land here. So out of their options, that was the best one I looked at, and it sounded like they agreed at the last meeting and then said I should come to this one now and bring it to you.
So where would the land be exactly?
When you come down by the beach and it's got that 90-degree corner, if you went straight in from there basically, so it'd be coming around that corner and just going straight along where the buoys are for the swimming area. There's a big gap there where it's grass and no beach. That's where I would picture putting in the launch, because it's a straight shot then. And there's, on that lot, plenty of room to put in a parking lot where they could park and use the beach, use the docks.
So is that between, I'm trying to figure this one out.
Especially right now.
So where would your boat be when it's not being used?
It'd be on that land
Okay,
over the winter.
I'm talking the summer, like,
Oh,
so
in the
when the
summer.
lake is open, where are you going to be anchoring your boat?
It'd be in one of the docks that we're gonna build going in front of the cemetery.
Okay,
So it would be slipped in the dock down
Okay.
further.
How close to the pier is that gonna be?
It would be more than likely connected to the pier, so they could go out on the pier and then just continue down the docks is what we thought of in the meeting. So basically, I'd do the same dock style because it's the floating dock that I want to do, because it's easy to take in, take out. So the picture was use that walkway down to the path, because otherwise I'd have to go through the cemetery and that raises some concern, I guess. So we were picturing going straight out that pier and then just taking and extending it down.
I was under the impression that when you did this pier was supposed to be for the public and fishing.
And it still could be.
And I guess I have some concerns about this. I think you have a good idea. I don't know if me personally as a council member, if I like where you wanna do it. I know the city also has some land along the lake that is just to the west of the DNR that goes in front of the skate park. There's an area there as well.
At the launch? Yep, I think that was one of them that they suggested. The only thing that was the hindrance they thought would be the parking for that, and then the skate park for trying to pull out the boat when I pull it up, because that would be used in the city launch, because there's nowhere to put a launch in there. And then the water depth is pretty shallow.
Like I said, I was under the impression that this is why we did that pier, was for people to fish, and if we have a boat coming in and out of there, and people aren't on there fishing. I don't know, I guess I am just not in favor of using that pier for that, because that's not why it was put in.
I think it's a great idea, Jeff, and I think the council can maybe look at it some more too, but I mean, we're gonna have a definite difference of opinions on things, and he had his time to speak, now I'm gonna take my time to speak and say, I think it's a great idea for economic development. And maybe we just need some time to think about it and discuss it as a council, and that's only fair, fair for us, fair for you.
Exactly.
I don't want you to feel like you're getting shut down right away, because we're 5 people with 5 different opinions, so, I think that's how we need to move forward with it.
That's perfect.
That seems
And just so
fair.
you're worried, my boats wouldn't be coming to that dock. It'd just be the walkway to get to their boats. All the boats would be down there.
Well, and I think, I'll clarify a little bit, I think we talked about the path that goes there, going to this, extending that to get to this system, not necessarily using the pier
Here,
as a
just that
system,
walkway.
because you don't want them to go into the cemetery to get access to it, if it were to be possible. The council would have to give an okay, this is our land, for him to go to DNR and try to get permission to do like a boat slip area there. So I think just to be clear, the path would be used and then the dig would extend on, but not, the pier is not gonna be part of the boat system.
Okay.
So,
That's not what I thought I had heard, so.
it was just the path.
yeah, to get to that area. I know yours goes straight out, so I'm not sure how we do it, if mine come out at an angle
Right.
or what, but that part, I just wanna know if that step or that land is okay with you guys. If it's not hooking up to the pier and that makes it better, I'm open to any ideas. Just looking at the 3, that was the best option for what I thought.
I think it's a good idea what you're trying to do, and like I said, it's just a location that I'm just not in favor of, so.
So just before you head out, because I know everyone's, they're ready to go. How, you had mentioned a couple times boats, as in plural. What are you thinking? So obviously you have your large boat. Are you thinking this marina for other people to use?
Yep.
Or other boats like you were thinking, like
Well,
your,
Yeah, for my houseboat would be to do charters or
Yep.
boat rental if they want to rent it, and then I was thinking like a pontoon rental, 2 wet bikes, if they want to rent wet bikes for the resorts or whoever wants to come out and enjoy it on the lake. That was
very cool.
And then you would rent slips as well for.
Yep, for
that-
people that don't live on the
don't
lake,
like
that
the
want to keep their boat in the water and not have to haul it back and forth, to make it more accessible.
Yep. Is this your first stage? Have you talked to DNR? And I know you said you, okay.
This is second stage. First stage, I
Okay.
did talk to the DNR.
Okay.
So the DNR's biggest issue was we have to find the land before it can go through because Todd County and, so when we figured out the land out of the 3 options, 2 were in Todd County. So I have met with them and went over ideas, but until they know the size of land and your approval, they refused to add some, so that's.
Because we have gone head to head with the DNR, and sometimes it's a tough deal. So I
Trust me,
commend you, I
it
really
is.
do.
But I'm convinced he's willing to work with it, so
Okay.
it'll be one more, that obstacle, I think.
And I apologize, I am on the EDA also, I was just unable to make that
Yep.
meeting, so, but it sounded like they were very receptive to your idea as an entity of the city wanting it to go forward, so.
Yeah, and if you guys need pictures or whatever, just let me know and I can bring those down with what the vision is of the boat.
You know, I wonder, maybe could you send us, and then if we have either a workshop or by our next meeting, then we could, give you some.
That way it'll give you an idea.
You're thinking.
Yep. So I will tell you the boat is 70 feet long and 16 feet wide, so it's not small. Now where I can just put it in and dig it out quick.
Yeah.
All right.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
I guess with the consent agenda, since we pulled that, I will make the motion to approve the EDA minutes.
A second.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, water plant, water tower, Darren is not here, but we do have bills from Eagle Construction. in the amount of $78,032.43. And, we all know about Nero Engineering when they were here, so I think we're okay with that. So the only thing we really need is a motion to pay that amount of $78,032.43.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Wastewater project, the I&I ordinance. We got the meters, okay, the meters is actually next. Angela, do you wanna touch on that? Is that what we kinda decided to do there?
The meters are
Yes.
asking?
The meters first.
Well, I think at our little update we had with Eric Easter on our workshop, Darren had brought up to the council about how we're gonna pay for these batteries that we're redoing in these meters. So we have about 150 that need to be replaced, and they're gonna continue to need to be replaced. And so, as I said, it was like $176 and some odd change. But for the first batch, the order is 26,000. Total right now, we have 71,000, and we talked about, do you want the city to pay for all that? Do you want to share that cost with the property owners that you do need to replace them with? But it's just, to have a discussion with the council to see how you want us to move forward when we start doing this. So we did buy them, just for a little history, we did buy them, 2012. The batteries lasted about 12 years, and now they need to be replaced, or starting to fail, need to be replaced. So it's not the whole meter itself, it's just a battery on top and a sending unit that sends the reading to the remote read.
So you just, the council, or did anybody have any thoughts on this?
I know the last time we had talked, I had actually commented about potentially splitting with homeowners. The only concern I would have is, can we legally do that if it's our property on their home?
Well, we have in the past, when we had old meters, we've always replaced, we give them the first one, after that, they've always had to pay the repairs or anything that new they needed on the meters. Now, this is the first time we had this type of system, where it had the battery on it. The other ones were the old system, and they had to walk around and read it. But anytime after we gave them their first one and they need to do it, they would have to pay for it. But, so it is really just purely a decision making.
And maybe we buy the first round of batteries, and then after that.
How many years were these batteries supposed to last to start with?
That's, the question is, was up to 20 years, but full warranty was at 10. And now we're on partial warranty, and that's why they're at the $76, and unfortunately COVID happened, and they're about double what they were before that. So, it is unfortunate.
Council, thoughts?
Well, we obviously have some that are currently failed, so we do have to buy them, right?
We already ordered 150.
Okay. And that's just to replace the ones that are already out of.
So we split the cost with the homeowner, you're probably looking at
What did you say last time, was it 90?
$85, $90 a piece, something like that.
I think we should just go ahead and pay for them. With the savings.
Find a different source, to pay for them.
I do, like,
Rather
we
than,
originally went to this, and, I mean, from what I remember, it was an advantage to have these meters put in so they didn't have to walk around
right,
and do it, and it was going to be a savings of not having to pay someone to walk around. Well, that was the city's decision, and I'm not saying we all made that decision, but we need to work with it going forward. So if that was the decision, I feel like maybe this first round of batteries will need to pay for them. I think that's fair, because that's, they they used to have to walk around and do it, they don't have to do that, so maybe we do need to buy batteries. I guess if you want that in a motion, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, on to the wastewater project, the I&I ordinance. How does the council want to move forward with the ordinance? You want more research? Thoughts on that, council? Eric kind of explained it to us.
Did we have planning and zoning put eyes on that?
We have,
Maybe something I just wanna have them take a look at it, see if they see anything that we didn't see, and they're
I think that'd be,
in there. And then have it ready to move on it in December.
that was the one thought that I did have, but, when do we have to have that done? When is it? I thought it was,
You mean this ordinance?
yes,
It's part of the compliance that we have with the MPCA. You know, we settled our lawsuit and there's certain steps we have to put in place, one being an ordinance that addresses our I&I, which means, you know, inspecting sump pumps, inspecting lateral lines, and making sure we're not having so much I&I, or fixing them, identifying what they are, so this is part of one of the steps. Now,
and that total time frame was when?
well, I think they'd like us to do it for, you know, as fast as they can, but at the meeting, Eric had said he hadn't heard back from the MPCA guys, so I don't know.
Well, even if it
Well,
goes to planning and zoning, our next meeting is in a couple weeks, so it could come back to the council in November.
Here's my question. In dealing with that whole NPCA lawsuit, we all know how those people work, Lord.
Well,
You know, they pushed the city as far as they could possibly push us. It's a good thing we did have some pushback on them, or they would have nailed us big time, worse than they already did. I don't wanna see us fall into that same category again.
I mean, we're the sump pump, they did the lead testing, that's all been pretty much done. So now I think from what he was saying, that the springtime is when they were gonna do the checking of the laterals for the water leakage. So I mean, this here is saying compliance by December 31st, 2025. I mean, we do have some time there, because we do have this cannabis stuff that's coming up, which I think is a little more of an importance over this, because that's staring at us in the face, and we did talk about that at planning and zoning. We have a little time with this yet, and this is something
Okay.
that we can look at.
Okay, so do we want more research? Is that what we're looking
I think
for?
let's send it to planning and zoning.
Okay.
If their opinion on it, so,
All right,
I don't know.
council, is that good with you?
Good for me.
Okay. Okay. Pike Street Project, Industrial Park. Paul is not here, right? Okay. Council, did you have a chance to look this over, and do you have any questions, concerns? What are your thoughts? Looks like a lot of money. But we knew that going in.
Still just applying for the grant, we're finalizing that, and see if we get it.
When will we know that? Was there a time frame on that?
No, it was a revolving grant, so we have to get it in, and then however long he takes to review it. It wasn't a deadline.
Okay. Okay,
So we're just waiting for them to send it in for the grant.
Right. We're finalizing some of the details of property owners and what they're gonna do with their property to make it more enticing for them to give us a grant, so that was the research we were trying to gather.
and has Paul called you since then? Has he been working with you on this at all? Sandy? Yeah.
I just visited by email, he was actually on maternity leave until just recently, so I've just been emailing him.
Okay, so we'll just wait for them to make the next step. Okay? All right, Gordon Road Maintenance with the township. As you can see, they wanna make, I would like to suggest, okay, we have had $500 fee since 2013. I would like to suggest a change to the agreement to add, if gravel needs to be added to the road, that the city and township would share the cost equally after both parties agree to add the gravel to the road. Darren will review this information. So, you see on the back, that's our current agreement. And has Darren talked to him yet? Do we know?
Well, we haven't talked to him. Yeah, we're asking your input before we talk to him, because it has been $500 since 2013.
This is Gordon Township asking to do this, right? Or is this us?
We
We're
tell
asking
them,
Gordon Township.
Okay.
we follow your roads and maintain your road year round. They give us $500 to do that.
Split the gravel with us at least, right?
Right.
Okay.
If you're on that, or if you're looking to raise the fee from 500 to, $550, or raise it every year by $50, or whatever you would think we should propose, or if you want us to just talk to them and bring it back to council.
It'd be nice if Darren could give us some numbers on that. This is kind of in his territory, and he should do what he has to say. Granted, I don't think the $500 is enough, considering the cost increases of everything. So I think it's important that we get that everybody's input on that.
So we're gonna have Darren and you guys talk to him first, then we'll bring it back to us for some discussion. Is that what I'm
If
hearing?
that's what you'd like.
I'll make that motion to do that.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Right, you wanna do it before I get 2 minutes? Okay. All right, we'll, you wanna talk about that then?
No,
Lynn?
just that we pulled the fire department out of the consent agenda, Travis. Well, it's part of our in-person staff report, so we'll get together with me anyway.
The reason I had, Laura and I chatted a little bit earlier today, the reason I had her pull it because of the notes I had on there, pertaining to, number 2. We received the 3 grants from Sourceville, the DNR, and Centerpoint, earlier this year. The DNR has not received their funding yet, so we will not get any money from them yet. So going forward, I just asked for approval to, we're looking at updating our wildland gear, which is 15+ years old. Replacing and updating our Argo, which is our 8-wheel all-terrain vehicle. That everybody's guess is like a 94 model. And then doing that, that would require your approval because it is $40,000+. So, and then replacing some outdated and damaged fire hose through the years.
How much hose do you got out of service right now?
Couple hundred feet. Our large diameter hose we just took out, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, about 600 feet. Which is roughly about $1,000 a lane.
What are you required to have?
That's kind of a gray area. I'd like to see 1,000 feet for sure on the trucks. We had up to, I believe, a mile of it when it was originally on the grant. That's way more than and it just goes to waste and weed time because it is rubber and sitting storage. Pile on top of the truck is not good for it. So,
And you have the money for all this?
yes.
Okay.
Those are all 3 grants would cover 95%. I guess right now, I would just look for approval for the Argo so we can get that ordered. It's got a 6 to 8 week lead time. That was like just over $40,000 in change.
Okay.
So moved.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And I know it's in here that you talked to over there, the
Yep,
fire, he's taking care of that.
yep, we're getting my work cut out, so we're all good.
Okay,
So,
great.
and then, the last one, I'll, report to you guys back next month on that one. We had some delays and some numbers, so we'll get back to you next month on that one.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Okay. Open floor. Items for council to consider for future meetings. We will open the floor here in a little bit. I do ask if you would like to speak, to please state your name, your address, and we are going to try to stick with our 2 minutes for you to speak. And I ask that, I know that there's a lot of tempers flaring in our city right now, and I know there's some very unhappy people. I would ask that we try to keep this civil so that we can solve any issues that we have. So, the floor is open. Would anyone like to speak?
Mark Palmer, live at 208 West Oak Street. Last month, Paul Hartman was here and he asked about our water. Any idea when that's gonna get back to normal? It just about looks like you've got Alka-Seltzer in your water when it comes out of the faucet. And it's, you know, unless you put it in a cooler refrigerator, it's hard to drink. It doesn't even taste good. My mother's had the same lady cut her hair for 50 years, and she asked her last week if she could put something different in her hair because the texture of her hair was different. So there's definitely something wrong with it. And every month I sit here and listen to $70,000, $100,000 for this water treatment plant. When is it gonna get back to normal?
I kind of wish Darren was here, but anyway, Tim, do you have any answers to that?
I don't have any answers for it, but I will talk to Darren.
I mean, last month I heard that the water tower, the inside of it wasn't done. But if it's full of water, it's gotta be done.
The water tower is
I mean, if it's full of water, that was what was said last month, that the water tower wasn't done yet.
If I can just speak to answer your question, and we did say this to Paul last month, that it, and this is how Eric Meester and Darren did explain it, is yes, the outside, it appears to be done, but now these items that rural water is gonna cover, we're into the made in the USA, and now, what did it say in our minutes, we're sick, it's on pause now, because we have to go by the rules and regulations that are required, so it's, I believe it's 6 months, we're 6 months out yet, is that what it was?
So we're paying for really, really soft water that we're not getting.
Well, you're still getting soft water,
Where it's-
it's just not. the
Put it in a
quality
glass and
of
put it on the counter and take a look at it. It's
No,
nasty.
I'm not arguing with you, I'm just trying to answer your question.
Okay, then I had one other question for the gentleman that was gonna put this boat in. If he puts the axis to the east of the swing beach, is that correct?
I think it's easy.
East,
Closer.
between there and Black's Resorts Association?
Yep.
Will that be open to the public?
That was the plan, yes.
The public access, would there be another public access, so I can launch my boat there and park at the beach? I can use it in the wintertime?
I guess that's up to them.
I mean, I'm just asking the question, because, people have gone through there in the wintertime to go out ice fishing, and just asking the question.
That will be
Not to stir the
something
pot, but just to,
That will be
I
something
mean,
we'll have to.
all of a sudden you have 25 boats parked at the beach.
I think it'd be a good idea for the council to go down and actually look at it, and then just see, so that way we can, you know, we can go down with you and put some eyes on it and actually see what we're up against. Okay.
I do want to answer his question a little bit about the water plant, because I did get an email from Eric, tonight, just updating on what was going on. Remember at the meeting, we talked about this Made in USA, Laura alluded to the fact that because of the new legislation, all parts and pumps need to be made, steel has to be made and manufactured in the USA. That is our holdup on this plant, is because of their requirements. So rural development is the supplier of our funds for this, we have to meet their requirements. And I'm just gonna read what Eric said, and he said Friday afternoon, Eagle submitted a valve, submittal of AIS compliance valve to RD's request. I've reviewed the submittal and the parts for the valve don't meet the specifications. I've been told by the filter suppliers that no valves companies may make AIS compliant valves that fully meet the specifications. Specifically, the specs, valves, discs, and stems aren't offered in combinations that they specify. I don't have a resolution on this yet, since it has just came up today. So, best case scenario, 10 to 12 week delay in the project. Worst case is 22 to 26 week delay. And this is because it has to be made in USA. That's a requirement, and they don't have a supplier that makes them. And so we will continue to operate our plant with the way it is until we have these valves to finish the project.
Okay.
Yeah, and on top of that, with what was just said, the rural water development were the ones that gave us the go-ahead to start this project in the first place. And they are the ones that walked back on the city as to what they're doing. This has got nothing to do with the city, it's got nothing to do with the contractor, it's all got everything to do with the rural water development where we're going through. Everything now, I guess, I don't know what else to say. And now that you're hearing that, I'm beginning to wonder if it's not even gonna be longer than that. And then the question that I have with that is, because it's a valid point to bring it up, this is being very hard on our softener equipment. And this actually could be causing an issue down the road with that as well. So I guess we need to look at that as well and see who's gonna be responsible for that when that starts failing because of their inability to do what they should have done when they said it was good to go, and then they yank it out from under us, I guess. I don't like any of it right now, period. And when we start messing with the water, I am not in favor as to what is going on. And I think we need to maybe look at that or see what can be done, maybe in a exploratory thing in the legal arena, because I don't believe that this is proper as to what's been done.
So Tim, do you want to meet with Darren and talk about this, or do you want me to come with you and meet with Darren so that we have
If you want to,
everybody
yeah, we can meet with him.
involved in it? Do you think there's any other ways that Eric Meester might have that we can make this water better water than we have? I mean, it's just thinking out loud. I mean, we can definitely sign up and let it.
I don't understand how they're requiring us to get a valve that isn't even made.
Well, remember, he said they asked for the exception to this because when we started our project, they hadn't passed this bill.
Mm-hmm.
And all got delayed with COVID and everything else, and so we came on the backside and we asked for an exception because we already started, and that was what they recently said was denied. So, and he did say in his meeting that he did say, what is this doing to our water, our plant, that we're now sitting there trying to make it through for how many weeks?
And that's why,
And they didn't seem to have any graces.
if there's any legal ramifications for this, because they allowed the project to go ahead and then they yanked the rug right from under you. So then who's ultimately responsible? Rural water development, as far as I'm concerned.
I think what we should do is just meet with Darren and probably Eric as well.
I wonder if we can get him here in 2 weeks when we have our, not 2 weeks, when is that next meeting?
In November?
No.
The 21st, we have a gambling, that's next Monday. Monday.
Well, I think the sooner the better, because I think our residents are gonna,
Yeah.
I mean, we've had 2 people come to us now. I think there's other people that are out there too. I think we owe them an explanation.
I'll call Darren tomorrow. and
Okay.
See if Darren's got a scheduled time coming up here, or if we can make one.
Okay.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Okay. All right. Very good. Mark, did you have anything else? Are you good? Okay. Floor is still open?
I'd like to speak.
Yes, sir.
My name is Kelly Yule, I'm a police officer here in town. I'm also the union steward for the police department liaison service. So I come before you as a union representative for the law enforcement labor services portion of the Osakis Police Department. I'm asking today that Mayor Wessel step down from the two-person labor union negotiation committee as a police liaison. And as a police liaison. Mayor Wessel has shown to be biased against the Osakis Police Department. He has been an objectified failure as liaison for us, rarely bringing complaints to the attention of the chief of police in a timely manner, appearing to prefer weaponizing them instead in order to surprise the police chief at council meetings. When he has brought up issues in a meeting, such as during the July meeting, they were unsubstantiated. Mayor Wessel accused both myself and Chief Branson in that meeting of lying, and has yet to provide anything to back this slanderous accusations that he made. Prior to that meeting, the mayor appeared at the June VFW meeting where he threatened myself, Chief Branson, and Mr. Larson with unspecified consequences for informing area gambling agencies of the June 10th gambling meeting. I question the honesty and integrity of a mayor who would attack any person with such vigor. A mayor who would remove the police department liaison, Mr. Larson, and appoint himself because he didn't like Mr. Larson inviting people to an open council meeting. There were 0 complaints from the police department in reference to Mr. Larson prior to that, and we were pleased with Mr. Larson's responsiveness and caring nature throughout his term, and we'd be happy to have him back. This is for you.
Council? Well, do I get a rebuttal to this, or do I?
For the best of everyone, that is, this 2-minute period is for us to take things under advisement.
Right.
I would suggest that, I mean, when Mark had a question, we answered
Okay.
it.
Good enough. Yep. We're good.
I don't think that's something we should knee-jerk react to.
No, and I'm not going to.
Okay.
I just wanted to know if I could ask any question, but that's fine. Is there anybody else that has something?
I'm Joe Nathy, 307 3rd Avenue West, Osakis. There's a lot of rumors in town about mismanaged funds in this town. Has this town ever had a forensic audit? And if not, can we get one? That's all I have.
We can take that under advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
I would like to say something, being we're at the light of everybody else attacking everybody for some odd reason. I think this is all a tactic to make it look bad in our public. And it's very sad that this is what is going on. And I don't understand why my fellow coworkers would act like this. It's terrible that you have a biased opinion on things, but yet you never talk about it. If you have an issue, bring it up. Don't just go around town blabbing about it. And it might be because certain people are spreading certain things. And being everybody's saying it, I would like to ask the council too, that Mr. Larson does not come in my office anymore. And he does not address me personally. He can sit at the council tables and talk to me, but I do not want him in my office harassing me and my staff. Because he does not treat us correctly.
In what way?
We're not gonna get into that. We as a council are gonna take this just like I can't rebuttal. You're not gonna rebuttal either. We'll let Angela's finish her thing, and then, again, we'll take Cal's, Joe's, and Angela's thing into consideration. So do you want to speak more, Angela, on that?
I just want to say that I think it's poor that this is being done as a public ploy and a public side, because I think these people really know what is going on. But they want to make it look terrible. But you know what? I've tried more than once, and we all sit down and talk about it. And you as council sat there. We had supervisor meetings. Who said something at those meetings? And Laura and Dan, staff, and Al can all speak to it. I was the only one who said anything, right? If there's something that's a problem, then we talk about it. Then we can address it. But if we're gonna hide behind it and go behind the scenes, it's never gonna be solved, unfortunately. Everybody can have their ways of thinking about things. So, that's all I have to say for now.
Okay? Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Anybody else? Okay, council, we'll take these 3 things under consideration, or 4 things, whatever, and we will discuss them at a further meeting, and we'll get the information out that we need to get out. Okay? Would anyone else like to speak? Okay?
Dan, I guess, just one quick second. Justin Dahlheimer, 500 Pike Street. I was a council member for 4 years, intimately involved in the city's finances, working at the bank. I would just like to go on the record and support the financial management of the city. In all those years, I would ever question the direction the city was being financially managed from an honest perspective. And the audits that came back were clean, and the auditors that worked with did good jobs. And I guess I wasn't aware there was financial mismanagement discussed. I just want to make sure we're not spending a lot of money unnecessarily on auditors when we have a clean public audit every year. And I think maybe the discussion is more pertaining to how budgets work. That could be educational, but when you get auditors involved, it gets very expensive. And with my history with the city, have not seen anything that would raise flags on how our city is managing their budget. I think you get into the matters of opinions on how dollars should be used. That's a lot different than how our tax dollars are flowing into the city and on display for any person to look at a public audit. Obviously, when the auditors are here, you should be listening and asking questions, and those financial statements are highly technical, but we've had trusted people that have worked for a long time in that area. And if there were issues, people would know. And I think that that's the challenge that our council has had in the past is being transparent with that information in a way that's understandable, and they've tried different ways of doing that. It's always going to be tense when we're talking about using dollars for different things and trying to keep taxes at a level that's appropriate. But again, I just want to echo that concept of we don't want to be steering down a direction that we're afraid that would lead to a lot of extra tax dollars spent on something that I guess personally, as a citizen of the city of Osakis, I'm not concerned with. I think our management of our finances is in good hands in that. We should not be overreacting in that area during an election season. So just thought I'd have to say that because I have a unique perspective.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joseph.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, the open floor is closed. We'll move on to number 312. Now, Amber, did you want to come and speak? Okay.
I feel like you might as well just keep clarifying things.
Okay.
And Bud Curtis is here to catch this. All right, so number 1, the Osakis, you guys have your beautification spreadsheet.
Yes.
Chad's kind enough to share this. So you can see that we have money in that account. I just want to make it clear to the public that the city council does not fund the beautification team. Is that true?
Very true.
So you agree that we do sponsors, we do all of our own fundraising, the gambling into this town is amazing for making donations. Yes, the city crew did help put in the pier. However, when I started brought up the beautification team to you guys, nobody hired me. Is that true?
Absolutely.
I stood up at a meeting because I saw things that I wanted to help with. Not just because I have, I thought that they should, we have an awesome school district in this town, and we have a lot of kids, and we don't have enough stuff for them. And so that's what I saw. I talked to Greg Gutwald, who was then in charge, and yes, go ahead, he had no problems with it. And then I came to a council meeting and I said, would you guys be okay with this? Correct.
Correct.
I do not get paid.
Correct.
Okay. So, there's part of it. The other part is, I would just like to say that the volunteering groups that we have in this town, we have used the Boy Scouts, we've used the Girl Scouts, and I shouldn't say used, they have contacted us for volunteer hours, the 4-H groups, church groups, community members, motorcycle groups. There was a bank in town this morning from Sauk Center, led by Kim Cordia, clearing out the pots, painting picnic benches, painting the bathroom gables, I think that's what they're called. We have teachers from the school, and we work with the juniors and seniors. So if people want to complain about the city workers helping us with the beach and helping us do stuff, I say to that, think of the literally thousands of hours that our volunteers have done, and personally I have done, my group has done. I guess I think that we made that money back from the city by having all of the people do that, and by paying for a lot of the supplies out of our own funds. So if people have a problem with the city boys helping us, the city crew, sorry, helping us every once in a while, I guess I say teamwork, Also, to living in the country, I think that that is the biggest joke. People are upset that I live in the country and I help in town. And what I say to that, I guess, is, I don't know, Laura, I think you guys owned the business with Matt for 23 years. I think that Matt and I owned the business together in town for 17 years. And throughout that 17 years, I can't even tell you the amount of money that we have donated to this town personally and through business, the amount of time. My husband is a fireman. I was in the first responder. I'm on the boards of the school. I'm on the chamber. And if people say that we should not be able to be in charge of things because we are in town, then I say that more people need to get involved so those of us that are on committees don't have to be on so many committees. So do not try to get those of us that are on committees living in the country off unless you are ready to step up and help. Does anybody disagree with any of that? I would like to say thank you guys for letting us come in and help and work with the city. We have absolutely enjoyed it. I love doing the projects. We love the pier. It's been fun to see kids fish down there and use it. The path, people will comment on it constantly, and we really appreciate working with you guys.
Yes, everyone looks awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Community center. Let's see what happens.
Information for the council, you can look through your package, you'll see there, Elmoon has been working to get bids for insulating in the evening and back room of the community center. Bids are attached. They currently have 13,000 something left over of the Olson funds. Elmoon said the senior club would cover the cost. Most of the cost, and will request more funds from Mr. Olson. The cabinets in the back room will need to be removed. So does the council want to put them up for sale or see if we can get rid of them? So there it is in a nutshell.
Council, what do you think?
So the ones that were in the kitchen, someone purchased for their garage, correct?
Basically, it
Something
just
like
costed them the labor just to pull it out is what they did. They didn't pay, it was just their labor to
Okay, they
get
just
them,
came
get
to
rid
them
of
out.
them.
I don't see why that it's not us throwing it away, or if someone can use it, great. I think we had the scouts go in and clean everything out after one of our meetings. So it was easy peasy, we were already there, we just grabbed a couple tables, lots of little hands, and
Done.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're also saying about that second dumpster still back there yet. behind the community center. I don't think West Central ever came back to pick that up. And it is full of cardboard and everything from all the tables and that we're gotten, so they're wondering if we're gonna keep that dumpster or what the plan is with that.
Do we need it?
Yeah.
I'll call Jeff Bertrand tomorrow and have him come and get that.
I think that was done during the cleanup day and it just never was picked up. I don't know if they forgot about it or what they did.
Okay.
That was kind of near the end of that on that, so
Okay.
that's what I
I'll
had.
call him in the morning and have him come and get that. Anything else?
So does the council want to let Al Newman and that group move forward with what they have here? Or do you guys need to see more bids? What do you guys need to see here? Winter's coming. So they would like to get that winterized back there.
Council, thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay. We need a motion for that, or can we just?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the total invoices of $23,791.84.
Is there a second? Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have the water sewer utility bill from Jacob Lefsa, Bonnie Jacobs. Tim, did you check with Darren and see what,
Yeah, so it cost the city 0.0132 cents per gallon to make a gallon of water. And then I'm guessing I did my math wrong, because my total came out to be more than what we charged her, so it can't be right. And I'm not that good at math, so I don't know how to do that
Well, we
right.
do it to raise our rates, so. Yeah.
Well, maybe it is right, I don't know.
We have
It was like $900 more.
so, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I know we discussed before, maybe doing something like giving her 25% back. Like we did. I don't think it was on the council when that happened before.
Well, we did
Yeah.
for Mike Bowman, and it was about 25%. $100, we did $100.
Right. This is a little different.
I guess where we
$500 back, but-
run into trouble, what we do for one, we should really do for all. Because if we do for one and we don't, that's where the accusations come in that, there's some funny stuff going on. So I think we should just be straight up with our residents. Whatever we do for one, we do for the other. That's only my opinion. You guys can discuss whatever you'd like. I mean, as far as that goes.
I'm fine with doing the 25% thing, give her 25%, because she already paid her bill, right?
Yeah.
So would we just not charge her for the next time, or would we cut her a
We
check to
just
reimburse
give
her?
credit on the bill.
I think 25%.
Okay.
Especially since it was found and fixed as soon as she was able to.
If I did my math right, and this is what it cost us to treat that water, isn't that like $293?
That sounds a lot better than my math.
The cost of treated or the cost of all the, that?
That's not including,
Yeah.
that's just treating it, that's not going to the sewer and treatment.
Right.
The pump.
Just water.
Just, yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's what I'm seeing that it costs to
Cost the city, right?
correct.
So we get that money back plus some for whatever it took down there. You know,
Okay, so there was a.
but imagine it's probably really close to the same to treat it from the pond.
So roughly $600. That's what we're done.
I think she'd be happy with that.
25%.
293 times 2. It's 586.
Well, there was a motion for 25.
I didn't make a motion, I said it'd be fine with 25.
Yeah, okay. That's what mine said too.
So does someone want to make that motion?
25% of what?
Give her 25% of what she paid.
That July bill is $2,034.
Right, but if we did the treating of the water plus the sewage, that's 586. She paid 2,000.
Yeah, you just,
She should be getting more money back.
you know, you just, 25% of that would be 500.
So you just want her to pay 25% of the 2,000 dollars.
Right.
That makes sense.
Okay,
Second? Somebody make that?
Second.
okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. West Central Initiative, Rebecca Lynn Peters.
Hi,
Hi.
thank you, Mayor, Council, staff. I'm here on a full agenda, so I'm gonna make this brief. Thank you for always letting us come and give you updates. And basically, we want to hear from you if there are things that we can do to be helpful. Oh, I'm sorry. That was unintentional. In fact, your future on one of the flyers. So you'll have to find it. Yeah, now everybody's gonna go through that packet. So some of you have all color copies, some of you have black and white. I apologize. I did not have access to a color copy of the day. So first, on the right-hand side of your packet is the Douglas County West Central Initiative update. We have two board members, Tyler Worth and a brand new board member, Ryan Rooney from Douglas County. I also want to draw attention to the local funds that we currently manage. 3 of them are Osakis funds, the Osakis Community Fund, the Osakis Economic Development Fund, and recently added the Osakis Silver Streets Fund, foundation that we work with the school district on. Speaking of the school district, we also did a Safe Routes to School project last year. Superintendent Dahlheimer was here, and we were out watching kids come and go from school to make sure they were safe. So that was our project last year. We've done lots of work with early childhood in Douglas County, etc. Also, just some fun facts. Our funding report includes $181,996 to Osakis in the past 2 years. Some of that came out of your local funds. 83,000 of that was re-granted in your community. Also $40,000 in grants from the Dean COVID relief funds a couple of years ago, and then some loans that we've been able to make in your community. So we hope that that's been helpful. Also on that side of your packet, people always ask us what we do, and it's really hard to give an elevator speech because we have a lot of programs. This sheet that says West Central Initiative Empowering Communities, Driving Growth, Fostering Sustainability, lists all the programs on the back of Flint at our work. So hopefully that will be helpful. If you're wondering what we do a lot of things. We continue to do our Rural Democracy Program, and as you've heard me say before, we didn't create this program to put you out of work. We created this program to encourage people to run for office if they've ever thought that they should, since we know that like 1 in 9 people in our region should run for either school board, city council, county commissioner, township. There are a lot of public offices that have vacancies for people. We continue to work on the Regional Climate Action Plan as funded by several foundations, and including just added to the list Otter Tail Power, working on municipal solar on some of our community buildings. And then on the left-hand side of the packet, sorry, there's a lot here. I want to draw attention to our local grant development assistance program. We received funding from the Minnesota Department of Commerce to help communities with local grant development assistance. So our staff member, Peter Walters, is available to be helpful. If you're looking at a grant, state, federal funding that you could use some help with, when you apply for a local development assistance program grant, you also become eligible for matching funds from the state competitive matching fund program. Our Start a Ripple campaign continues to fund programs throughout the region. And then finally, our Ripples of Good annual report is included here. And this is not where Councilmember Backus is featured. So you did. In fact, one of my co-workers, Rick Sherrill, loves to tell the story about your business, so. Are there any questions for me, or are there things that West Central Initiative could be helpful with?
I guess, from what I know, working with you, you do a great job, and Angela keeps us informed. I have nothing. Council?
It's just great information.
All right, well, we'll be back next year.
Okay,
All
very good.
right, thanks.
Thank
We
you
have all
very
this
much.
bedtime reading, right?
Yep, exactly. Okay, Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities. Derek? Hi, Derek. Good.
So I'm Darren Lee, Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities. Like your last presenter, I'll try to be brief because I know you got a full agenda here, so I'll do a little bit of an abbreviated presentation. Just as a reminder, so the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities is an organization that represents over 100 cities like yourself outside of the 7-county metro area. And so we just like to come by during the interim between legislative sessions just to let you know what we've been working on down at the Capitol on your behalf. So I'll just mention here what I handed out. You have our 2024 session report there, which gives sort of a summary of the legislative session. This chart here shows the outcomes of different issues that we work on. You also have a sheet that talks about EMS aid bill that we worked on. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but that has a lot more details. And then I've got some save the dates and some invites to our fall conference. We'd love if you could join us. And then a sheet that talks about our labor relations program as well. And then there's staff contacts on the back of that session report. So any issues at the legislature that you want us working on and you think we should be working on, you can contact the appropriate person there. If you have any questions, anything we can do to be helpful, please let us know. So I want to talk about a few different things here. Starting out, do you have the slides that I sent in advance? Okay, because that's what I'm going to work off of here. So going into the legislative session, there was kind of low expectations for what the legislature was expected to do because of sort of the hangover from 2023. There was a few fixes that they needed to do to some 2023 bills. The school resource officer fix that needed to happen, the cannabis bill needed some revisions, and then a short list of priorities. It was a traditional bonding year, so that was a priority going in, and that was one of our priorities as well. And then it sort of was, we were looking to see if they would focus on any constitutional amendments, like Equal Rights Amendment, abortion, some of those, and then what kind of policy they would use, because it was a policy year, they had done the budget in 2023. And then they had a new Senate majority leader too, so it was interesting to see how that played out. Your next slide there just shows what the budget forecast was from February, and we actually have another budget forecast coming up in November, so those numbers will change. It'll be interesting to see what those are, but in contrast, the previous year they had an $18 billion surplus, and then for this upcoming biennium they had, or for what was remaining was 3.7, and then in the next biennium they had 2.2. You can see what with inflation happening there, that's so our legislative agenda was pretty focused. We just were looking at $120 million that we wanted for EMS aid, because we had heard from a lot of our members that that was something that they wanted us to focus on. A lot of the service area license holders are local governments, And so that was something that we wanted to work on. And you'll see where that 120 million comes from in a minute. And then a bonding bill with all of those priorities, and then also just pump the brakes on policy. So on EMS, we heard from our members, we went around the state, there was a select committee that the legislature appointed as well. And what they heard and what everybody heard wherever we went was recruitment, retention, and reimbursement were the main things. And so this sort of line graph on the 7th slide shows what the problem is. You've got the cost increasing more than insurance reimbursements. And so that includes Medicaid and Medicare. And so that's the issue. And then on the next chart, it shows you where that 120 million figure came from. That was the operating loss from 2022. So that's where that number came from. And then the pie chart shows who the different license holders are in the different service areas around the state. So our proposed solutions, phase 1 is Band-Aid. We know it's not going to solve the issue long term, but 120 million up front just to help rural EMS services just stay afloat for the time being. And then phase 2 is work on a funding solution to close that gap between reimbursements and costs. And then long term is work with our federal delegation to figure out what we can do to solve the reimbursement problems long term. And then on the next slide here, you can see we have a couple of our lobbyist, Eric Simonson, testifying on behalf of our bill that we put forward. Representative Dvorsak in the House, Senator Hochschild in the Senate were our sponsors. Unfortunately, the governor came out and he only proposed 10 million. So it was kind of hard to get the leaders to agree to more than what the governor was proposing. We were at 120, he was at 10. And then, what was the Republican strategy to leverage their votes on a bonding bill? Because that's where they do have some leverage because it requires a supermajority to pass a bonding bill. So our outcome that we were able to get was 24 million in emergency aid. There are some reforms in there on licensing, recruitment, and sort of employee training. And so that's sort of a first step, but the main issue the main sort of success that we had was getting this issue into the news. And so we're gonna come back next year, work on it again. The 24 million is just a start, but we'll continue to be involved with that. On bonding, like I said, it was a traditional bonding year. Debt capacity was 980 million. The governor's proposal focused on asset preservation, so municipal buildings, parks, that kind of thing. Not a lot of money for local projects. So that was unfortunate that was in his proposal. Not a lot set aside for local projects. Our asks in the bonding bill, as everyone here knows, drinking water and wastewater is so expensive. So that was a top priority for the Public Facilities Authority. Greater Minnesota Child Care Facilities, public infrastructure grants were some of those things that we were asking for in the bonding bill. Unfortunately, the bonding bill did not pass in the final days of session. There was a few reasons for that. Quirks in the legislative calendar, with the way the holiday is lined up. Passover and Easter were in different weeks. One of the senators got arrested for burglary up in Detroit Lakes. So that caused a lot of issues on the Senate floor and wasted a lot of time. There was a lot of bitterness. And then a hangover from the previous bonding bill that they did pass in 2023. So we'll be back. There was other priorities that they worked on, in the final days of session: gun control, equal rights amendment. You might remember the Uber Lyft whole situation with them threatening to leave the cities. That took a lot of time. So we'll be back next year to advocate again for all those important priorities. And I just want to talk a little bit about housing. That was something we had to play defense on. We didn't foresee some of these proposals, but essentially what they would have done is take away your zoning authority. And I think the goals were, there's a few goals that they had, and some of these might be solutions that work in the cities, but they don't work for greater Minnesota. And so, I think part of it is environmental. They want more density. They want to save energy. It's about climate change, transit, transportation. So correcting historical wrongs from housing policy. And so some of these bills could have allowed 8 plexes in single family zoned areas, multifamily housing in commercial zoned areas. So we had to fight against those. There's our director, Bradley Peterson, testifying on some of those bills in opposition. Of course, we know that we want economic development and we want housing. It's just that, zoning's not the problem, it's an economic issue. So there was a lot of bad proposals at the legislature. Parking, you can see there, was another thing, restricting your ability to mandate a certain amount of parking, height, what materials could be used, all those things. So luckily those bills, we defeated those. It was really just local government organizations fighting against environmental groups, transit groups, housing developers. Everybody was lined up against us, but we were able to kill those bills for now. Some of those discussions are ongoing, and I think the authors of those bills that were defeated, I think, know that they need to work with us going forward. And so that was an important win for us. A couple other things, local sales taxes. There's a moratorium on those, on local option sales taxes through 2025. So we'll see if there's an agreement to bring those back and allow you to do those without going back to the legislature. Of course, we've got an election coming up for president, obviously, but more importantly for the legislature, all 134 House seats are on the ballot, and then there's one Senate special election that's on the ballot, so that could tip the majority in the Senate. So we'll have to see how things shake out, who's in control of the House and the Senate next year. So we'll be back in January working again on all those issues. So, and I think I got some dates coming up on the next slide there. So we'd love to have you come to those events. Happy to answer any questions. Thanks again for having me.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Okay, special event, trunk or treat and holiday light parade. You can see the 2 attachments there for the special event. I know we've had these in the past. Absolutely. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Levine's Lakeview Drive. I am going to remove myself from this. Just for the simple fact that I do live out there, and I've already been accused of being favored because I live out there. So Laura, if you would like to discuss this, I would appreciate that.
Okay. Project number 505, Paulette Ben was in attendance at the last council meeting to discuss the options of paving. Levine's feasibility study will cost $3,000. So the council can choose how to proceed on that. I know typically feasibility studies are where we start at. Is there typically, that's a budgetary item that we have?
Yeah, well, just to kind of explain a little bit, sometimes I think we use feasibility study different than maybe an engineer does use that. So, there's kind of 3 options you have when we say feasibility. One would be just like a high level, give us an idea what it's gonna cost. $3,000 one, he kind of gave me a synopsis of it being like a desktop analysis. They do some estimations, they do some measurements, they do come out and look at the area, they sketch it out, they look at permits and that, but they don't do soil borings and all those things, they're not shooting all elevations and that, because then it would take more of a 30% basically, like what we did at the Bake Street, where you're paying 30% of project to get max of sold, tell you a good number to go with, assessment numbers and all that. So at this point, he was suggesting, you know, maybe one to a $3,000 one. We do have money that we budget in our street fund each year just to pay for some of these things like this that might come up and utilize that. We do have Sourcewell grant where any consultant, we can apply 50% of it to them. So I would do that on these cases because they have up to, I think, $15,000 to use. But at the last meeting, it was motion to do feasibility, but I just wanted to get an understanding what it is you guys expect to get out of it, you know, moving forward. Because I do think Paulette did do some homework and she did go around, get numbers, but I do think it might be a little bit more involved when you get to the water flow out there and different areas of not having ditching and all that, and that's something they're gonna have to give us a better idea on, so.
I have a question on this, under the general regulations at 92.48. I don't know if this applies to that road or not, but it states for blacktopping or whatever. I'm a little confused for it. Does it have to have water and sewer run through it underneath that?
Has to be looked into, I believe.
Yeah, we do have an assessment.
I'm just asking because.
No, I get it,
That would be what they would look at.
Yeah, just look into it, right, it doesn't say that it has to have water and sewer.
I think before the road's improved, this is what this is referencing to, so I don't know.
When you say 92, where are you getting this from?
92.48, that's under general regulations in the city blue book.
Well, do you have a copy of that?
I didn't bring it with me, I figured we'd have it on the computer or something here, but it's there.
Well, I don't.
What was the number again now?
92.48, so that's a question that I have.
There are some ordinances, we did review our ordinances, 2007, so depending on where you're getting that number from, I don't know it off the top of my head, obviously.
There's a lot of them in there, it'd be impossible, I get it.
Yeah,
I just,
with this 3,000, would they indicate if we do need to have that as well?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
They would review our policy. We do have an assessment policy that we followed since 2000, and that looks at if the road's improved or not improved, what you have to do, and there's a percentage that we assess and a percentage the city pays, and that's what they look at. That's kind of our improvement planning, and they would look at all that as they give us this number. That's why I think $3,000 is probably good, because we want a little bit more information than just a quick overview, slap it on there, then, but I don't think we want to spend, 30% of the project, which could be quite a bit of money, to find out maybe it's not affordable, because that's what feasibility is, to see how affordable it is.
I'll make a motion to, oh gosh, what am I moving the motion in here? All right, to complete the feasibility study for $3,000 on Liason Lakeview and 8th Avenue East.
can I make an addition to that, to make sure that we check on the general regulations 92.48 to make sure it complies? I just want to make sure we have that in the motion.
I will amend my motion to also include the 92.48 to verify, is it the water and sewer, correct? Perfect, water and sewer as well, which I think you said as well with the, what's the?
Feasibility.
The feasibility, and what's the other one?
Excuse me, the improvement plan, so assessment policy.
Assessment policy, thank you.
Second.
Motion by Scott, second by Al. Any other further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Laura.
Okay, just to be clear, I'm not always I think people think I just wanna take over on everything. It's only because as the acting mayor, when Dan is not available, people think that I just wanna run right in and just take over everything. I do what I have to do when it needs to be done, so.
Thanks for that clarification. That's very good. Okay, moving on, planning and zoning. Anything to report from there?
Basically, we talked to the gentleman from Sourcewell there, he brought a ordinance forward here dealing with this cannabis, because we do have a moratorium on it. until January. So he brought something forward here. I think that's kind of a pressing issue right now. And I do believe that we're gonna be working with that pretty heavily here, I think, with this next meeting, because it's something we gotta address before January, before the moratorium comes out.
And this was drafted from a similar city size as ours.
Correct.
And he gave us a lot of information, so like one of the biggest things is even to apply to even attempt to sell or anything, it is $10,000 to apply. So just to apply for the license, which is kind of something that definitely is going to weigh on people's pocketbooks if they are looking at doing that. But the nice thing is this policy really broke down a lot of information of what you can do, what you can sell, if you can store it, if you can grow it. And it really went into a lot of limitations as to how close to schools, everything like that. So it was a really good, a lot of good information to look through, and I definitely think we need to dig into it a little bit more, but they wanted to bring it to the council, just so you know we are talking about it and kind of see what we're looking at.
It's knocking on the door. And the state's dictating a lot of this to the counties and to the cities, so. And they don't even have everything in place, so this is something that's probably gonna change many times in the next few years.
Okay, are we done with that topic?
The only question I had was, a couple of things, and I don't know if you discussed this at planning and zoning, about the penalty in section 2. I'm just thinking if we could, I mean, $500 is nothing, could it be, I mean, did you talk about,
We
is that as?
We did not touch base on penalties, it was just more what people are doing, what they're gonna be able to do, the different options, and we really focused on where they could be if they are in our community, but no, definitely we
That
can
was
bring
the
that
only
back.
good, and the only other suggestion that I would kind of like to see is doing more than one compliance check. It says, city will
that
conduct,
annual one?
and I see it is a minimum of 1, but I think we should do a minimum of 2, minimum. That would be my suggestion after reading it, just twice a year is I think.
Certainly.
But otherwise, I mean, I think, yeah, we do need to not be behind the 8 ball on this. So thank you, planning and zoning, for taking this on.
And then what about the Maynard Michaels project, planning and zoning?
There's a resolution.
Yes. Any thoughts on that, council?
Motion for resolution 24-31.
Okay,
Second.
okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Anything else on planning and zoning?
We need to approve the minutes.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. All right, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The only other thing I see that we do need to discuss on here is, so there was a mention in here of the fee schedule.
I think that's actually later.
Right, but do we need to think about this for the, like, for the
Probably
cannabis?
December, January meeting, we'll have that all done by.
Okay,
We talked about that at the beginning of the year,
okay.
or whoever was here.
Okay. Gambling, Jason Schultz from the Osakis Sportsman Club is requesting the council to approve a 1-day gambling license for April 26, 2025, held at the Osakis VFW.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
Motion carries. Gas bid? Gambling meeting with the gambling groups and EDA The next meeting with the EDA and gambling groups is set for October 21st at 6 p.m. You should let Angela know if there's any topics you would like to discuss on that. I think the biggest one going forward is the EDA's letter that we wrote to them, or proposed to them, the form. Okay? Okay.
Is that all gambling, or is that just a pull tab? Does that like affect us with our gambling, or is that more pull tabs in the community?
Pull tab.
Pull
Okay, thank you.
One thing that if we can put on that agenda is what was brought up the other day at the pub meeting about contract lengths between gambling entities and the particular business. I think if they're all there, I really want to be clear that the city has a business telling them how long it can be running, so. If we can add that, just as an agenda item.
Okay. Thanks, Lori. Okay, our gas bid. Obviously, everybody's heard by now that Deluxe Oil indicated they will no longer be selling gas, diesel at the pumps as of 11/8. They will continue to provide and deliver bulk diesel. I guess the question at hand is, what do we want to do about the rest of the year? You want the bid to include the rest of the year after their shutdown, or Council, what are your thoughts?
So, do we just need to, you have made contact with Brothers and setting up an account?
Yeah, so typically we do gas bids, and they start in January, so I guess the question is two things. I've already talked to Brothers about setting up an account to charge there, and then we would kind of transition over after gas and diesel at the pumps is not available. But the kind of question of the council is, do you want to open up bidding for that earlier, or do you just want to kind of stay with them, do a normal bidding, we'll ask them to bid, and then the other gas station in town here, and we'll open those like we normally do in December, and just go through that process, so. If you guys want to do that, or
Yes. Charge the brothers for the rest of the year and then open up bids.
do it normal, okay? Yeah.
Okay? We need a motion, or are we good with that?
It's no change, so I'll just do what we normally do then, and, yep.
Okay?
Bids.
Okay. On to attorney. Obviously, you've had a chance to read that letter from Thornton Law Office that they will no longer be our go-to people, and we're gonna need to find a new law office to represent the city of Osakis. Angela has already reached out to Swenson Lervick Law Office in Alexandria. There's also one in Mount Prairie, Quinlivan and Hughes. Do you guys think two is enough, or do you want to possibly look into somebody else as well?
How many lawyers do we need to have at the city's disposal?
Well, the way things have been going, quite a few. To tell you the truth, probably even need some more.
You need attorneys that practice the law of what you're needing, so you have labor law or civil attorneys, you have criminal prosecuting attorneys, you have, real estate specialist attorneys, so you're looking for either a firm that has all those, or you have to look at different firms. So they specialize in certain fields, they're not experts in everything. So you're looking at, depending on who fits best for your city.
Now, would both of these, whether the Alec or the Long Prairie, fit our needs?
That's what I reached out to them for. I haven't gotten all information from them yet. The other one is Flattering Hood, would be another one that we could utilize for, our attorney, which I haven't, like I said, I've only reached out, I haven't heard back from all of them yet, so to get some information as to what they cover, what they can do, what kind of services we need, if they have them in their firms. So, and then looking at the rates they would charge, so.
Do you think it's realistic to think that by our next meeting, we would have heard
I
back
would
from
think
some of
we
them?
should, yeah, by November, yeah. They gave us till January, you know, to find someone else, they just said in there, I think you read the letter, they just are too busy with other things that they don't wanna deal with that part of it, and their attorney had retired, and they're not specialized in civil stuff, so.
So would we have one or both of these people come and actually speak to us before we make any kind of decision?
That would be up to you, if you wanted to do that, I would have to ask them. The Alexandria one, there's a city attorney for Alexandria, and then the Long Prairie one, I know there's city attorney for Long Prairie, but they all have multiple cities that they deal with, they don't just have one.
Okay. Council, what are your thoughts?
So the PD's looking to stay, with Dolan and them for their,
Well, that's a decision you have to make. Megan did say that she would continue to prosecute criminal things, which would be the police department side, if we wanted to do that, if we wanna have her represent them and have other things somewhere else, or if we have attorneys that do all of it, do we wanna have one place? I mean, there's not really a right answer, and you can do whatever you feel is best.
I say we get the information from Angela to see what services they provide. That way it'll at least help us narrow down if one is kind of has the majority of what we need, and then also price and make sure it's feasible for us as well.
I just like, I hear what you're saying with that, I wanna make sure that when we make these decisions, that we don't have attorneys that do the same thing, where things get moved around and we don't know about. I mean, as recently as it came up with our policies, it started out with Dolan, with Tom Flecker. Then we started on this thing almost 4 years ago, and now, I know it was almost done, and now it seems like we've started all over again with Flattery and Hood, and I'm confused as to why we had to start that all over again.
I don't think we started over.
That's kind of what he said, that they were pulling stuff from the league and everything else. And we were working with Fleckers, with Parker Prairie ordinances, and for some reason that just, I don't know what happened, and then now we're with Flattery and Hood. And I don't remember anything in front of the council that we were switching gears on, and I'm confused with all this, and this is why I did an information request to see what was going on. I understand you need lawyers for land transactions, that's different, I get that. But it seems like we had Nolan in them, and then we have Flattery and Hood, and it seems like they're doing both of the same thing, so why do we need attorneys that do the same thing?
Well, they weren't doing the same thing. That's why our attorneys now not wanting to take care of it, they aren't covering it, they're not practicing that, they're not experts in it.
Starting,
It's been ongoing, so they just decided, you know what, we're not experts in these fields, and we're spread too thin, we need to move on.
so when did they make that decision?
When did they make what decision?
When did they
Saw the
make that?
letter.
They sent us the letter.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that letter.
This letter right here.
Right here.
Okay, the one that's in our thing, okay?
Yeah.
But that is not, is it saying right there after January 1st?
Yeah, so they're telling us, hey, we need to find somebody else. That's what this letter is telling.
Okay, I get that, but I guess the question I have here is, we were with these guys, they were done with it, we were just finalizing it as a council, and then we had our workshop with this, and boom, now it's all down to Flattery and Hood. So how much money did we spend with Dolan and Klecker with them policies, and how much should we spend now with Flattery and Hood over the same policies?
This has been a long, ongoing process, Alan, and you know that. We have went through multiple things. We had a hearing with all the employees that did not go very well because we did not have a comprehensive policy. And you sat in on a phone call with our attorney, Tom Becker, who told you that.
And we were working with the Parker's Prairie one, which is a pretty comprehensive one, which was vetted by lawyers, so we.
Exactly, but we picked and choose parts of it. We did not pull the whole thing and say, this is our policy. Take out their name, put our name, and take our stuff. We said, we like this, we like that, and they said, no, I'm your attorney. That will not represent you well.
Okay, but we do it
And-
with other city ordinances all the time. We're doing it with the cannabis one as we currently speak. We're looking at that, we're looking to add things. So what I'm saying here is I'm just confused with
We're not
everything that's
pulling
going
stuff
on.
out of there. We're not removing paragraphs or sections. We're basically changing our name and saying, what kind of fee do we have? We're not really adjusting that vetted policy. And our attorney then says, this isn't my practice. I'm not an expert in this. I need some help.
If I may
And
ask,
Flattering Hood is attorney of ours.
may we continue this conversation with the policies, because I have questions as well at that point, and then we'll keep going since it's our last one.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Are we game for having Angela just give us information for the next meeting, provided they have enough?
Good on my end.
As long as they list what they do and what they can do, it'd be nice.
If I may, I had a conversation with Megan Burkhammer this week concerning it, and she very much so wants to continue with the criminal side of it for the city. And it's just any like speeding tickets, stop signs, gross misdemeanor, DUIs, that's all they handle for us for criminal. Dylan's office has handled that for 30+ years. And she wanted to make sure if it came up, mention that yes, she really wants to continue that relationship, and we work very well with her in that regard. So when you do go looking, and she feels her price is gonna be lower for the criminal side of it than the other attorneys, so I would request that you stay with Dolan's office for the criminal stuff.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, tobacco license. Attached is a letter from the Minnesota Attorney General. It's a long one to read, in regards to e-cigarettes and so on and so forth. Oral nicotine pouches, products. That we just want to read through and make sure we understand it.
Information.
Yes, correct. Okay? Is there any questions on that?
Might be worth having at the meeting or something for them to go through, or that work there, so they understand it pertains to them.
Okay? Visitor Center. You can see that the tally for the Visitor Center this summer, what that was all about. Does anybody have any questions on that? No questions? Okay, moving on. Lifeguard and beach. Same thing. The tallies are there. Does anybody have any questions on that? Fall resident letter is gonna be going out. Everybody's got theirs in, I see, from our end. And this is just a copy of what's gonna go out. Was there any changes you would like to make on that?
I just have, I had missed the EDA meeting last, but I understand they did change it for the remaining of the year to 5:30. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So then, can we still change this on the front where it says the EDA? And that just happened, so I know that, I mean, I didn't know if we would still be able to change that on the front page.
Yeah, they motioned to change it for the rest of this year.
Right.
This is in January.
Right, yep. So if we
I'll
can
see if I
change
can-
that, if not,
Right,
it'll still be posted, so.
yeah.
The only thing I had, and you and I had touched base about it, is that the, where we are going to be putting our clippings, branches, and everything like that is going to be locked now. Did you wanna add a comment or sentence in mine that says to make sure during business hours?
Yep.
Thank you, because yeah, I had submitted that before that got changed that way. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Thank you. Information on the council, as you guys know, at the meet and greet, there was a few concerns brought to me afterwards of they didn't feel that the city really communicates with the public very well. I did tell them that we have a website. I did tell people that they can stop by the city hall anytime. I did tell the city, or these people, that they could make a connection with us at any time. And I thought about this afterwards, and we'll have to wait and see how this election goes. However, whatever, wherever, but what do you people think of like a meet and greet like we had, only with the entire public? You know, like the public can come and, you know, they can ask questions.
Like quarterly?
Yeah, well, I don't know, quarterly, maybe. I don't know. These were just things that people brought to me, and I told them I would bring it to you.
So like something at like the community center where this is our open night to come and talk to the council kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. And to keep it civil like we did, and everybody, you know, just, they have questions or whatever, because some people, I think some people are afraid to come up to the city hall. I think some people are afraid to talk to us, I don't know why, but we can talk about anything to them, really. So I don't know, that was just an idea that one lady had. She thought that meet and greet was great, and she would like to, if there's a possibility that we could do that with all the city council, that would be great too. So, just something to think about. I don't know, we can decide.
Are you in charge of our Facebook? Or are the girls in the office in charge of the Facebook? I feel like you guys have really been pushing out quite a few more posts lately, which is nice. Nice to keep it.
We have over 1,000 followers, but we try to post out there for people to like it, because that's where we're gonna put our information. We're not gonna try to blast on every other site. I mean, if you wanna do it, you can go to our site, or you can go to our Facebook, and things that are changing, we try to get out there, but I don't know, unless there's another way to communicate.
And I think that's great, but I do think there's a lot of people in the public that aren't on social media, so maybe in January, February, when there's nothing going on, and we have a meet the council to start the year off, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
You only try.
That's right. Okay, so we'll look at that again.
Okay.
All right, perfect. Crosswalks was another thing that was brought up to me, and I also said about public safety. So I don't think we're gonna talk any more about this. Chad, you're still here. I would like to have a special meeting with you tomorrow, ASAP. I don't care what time you wanna do it. I'll be in your office. It's gonna be just you and me. And then as we move forward, we may bring in the other people listed in here, but I will talk to you about crosswalks tomorrow as well. You line up the time, please call me, let me know. I'll be in your office when you want me.
Sounds good.
Thank you. We'll move on. Donations? Angela, do you wanna touch on this a little bit?
Sure, Mike. We just have our quarterly donations, so we have a resolution we prepare which encompasses all of it, but we do have some donations from first responders. We've gotten part of that Centerpoint grant, and then the Dieslers gave them $100. We also have the beautification team, this was $100 this quarter that they received. And then the fire department got the Centerpoint grant, in addition to some $300 from the VFW. So we're looking to just have a resolution passed to approve that, and then those funds be used for the designated areas that they were donated for.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2024-29 to approve the donations to the first responders, beautification team, fire department, and community center.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Centerpoint Energy, there's a big surprise. Their energy rates are going to increase. And I don't know what we do about it. Get a different energy company.
I think we're just asking for comments from the customers, what they think about the energy increases, so they do take them into considerations as well, and they don't always get the increases they ask for, so. I don't know if we have a voice in that as a city, I don't know, but they are looking for comments on this and what people are looking for here.
In the end, is it really gonna matter?
It does sometimes, yes.
Would you like to meet with them?
When is
Or would anybody like to meet with them?
I mean, I don't even have natural gas, so I'm not a customer per se.
Okay, then we'll just move on. You see the rate increases, I don't know if there's anything we can do about it, if you guys have questions. Or not?
This could be something good maybe to send out, something like that to our customers if they haven't got it, you know, to the city people or the residents. I don't know if they had notice of that yet or not, they should have, but.
Okay, let's just move on. Fee schedule? Council, what are your thoughts on that? Or do you like to, we did? Some say no change, some say change, I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
We changed some,
Yeah, we-
zoning, change theirs, section, we changed the community center.
Just need to pick up the last time we updated that. So there is one for this utility late fee. It says $5 currently, if you want it, it says change in red.
Page seven.
It is on page 5, at the bottom of page 5.
The first part of the top sentence, review the schedule for rate change.
Oh, my bad.
Yep. That's all.
So are we saying this?
Talk a little bit about the stormwater rate at the last meeting. Remember we had the ponds that we had to clean out? We don't quite have the funds that are in there. So if you look on page 6, in the middle there's your stormwater. So residential use, currently we charge $2, multiple family use $3.50, and commercial use $6.50. And then at the last meeting, we had some suggested rate increases. One being, raise the $2 to $3. The middle one for multifamily from $3.50 to $5.50, and then the business one from $6.50 to $8. I did calculate off of a year, which is, generally speaking, everybody's paying the same. It would generate another $10,072. Otherwise, if I just did $1 more for each of them, because the majority of them sit into that residential one, it was $9,251 additional per year that you would generate by raising it that $1.
Do we have current fund or that's sitting in right now for the ponds to be, for clean out of them?
Yeah, at the last meeting, I had some totals for you, I thought. I wanna say his estimate, I didn't put it on this month because we didn't have an update, was, $150,000, we had like 85 or 90,000 in there. I mean, I remember off the top of my head, but
How many years has that been in there accumulating at the rates that we're at?
I don't know. I have to look when we last cleaned it, when we last used those funds to know where it is.
Do you know off the top of your head the last time we raised these stormwater rates?
We have never raised it since we put it in place.
I'm assuming that's a few years ago.
Yes, quite a few years ago. And I could look that up for sure if you want me to know exactly what date.
2002, wasn't it?
Somewhere in there.
2002.
I feel like I wrote it down last meeting.
Okay?
And that's something you can think about when we're gonna adopt this in January, but you just have that information next meeting.
Okay?
The one other thing I wanna talk about with the fee schedule is, we did have a meeting, it was like, this has to do with gambling and the fee schedule. And this, I remember I had talked, we should think about, I don't think it's right to charge them the full amount of that meeting that literally took us 25 minutes and there was just 3 of us. I personally don't think that that's fair. I mean, there was 3 of us who acted on it, and I just don't see that that should cost that entity the $750.
If I could just chime in, and this is my opinion, take it for what it's worth. There's another one of those, what we do for one, we do for all. Because we are gonna get ourselves in a whole lot of trouble with it. So, I'm only saying that, that's the fee that was set aside for that. And if we change it, just remember, the next person that comes in, we gotta change it for them as well.
I can understand reducing it by me not being there, since I had to abstain anyway, so it was pointless for me to be there. That I can totally understand. And that's all I was going to say on that subject.
My thought is, there was 3 council people there. I would make a motion that we charge them half of it based on there only being 3 of the council people there. That's my motion.
That doesn't even cover the 3 company members, does it?
Yeah, 450.
What did we charge? So,
750 is what it's half is 375.
So, charge them the 3, I mean, what I'm saying is cover our, I don't know, I just don't think it's right.
Angela, have we ever had this situation before, council member?
That we've
In the
had.
past, did you ever have this thing come up that quick? That kind of a meeting that quick? Oh, we have?
And they've had to
I
pay it?
personally feel they should pay it. This is my feeling, that you gave up your night, not a whim. I gave up my night, and I went to volleyball, and I missed my girls' volleyball thing to come here. You're paying me here, whether it's comp or not, and they didn't want to wait till the day. It was literally last Tuesday. And they really needed it. They were willing to pay it. I'm not saying we should take advantage of them, but you know, they're doing it for a purpose that benefits them. They're willing to pay it because it covers the cost of the city. The other taxpayers aren't paying it. I think that is why you do it. You don't wanna be doing this all the time. You don't wanna just have meetings and meetings because somebody wants one. You wanna do it as you need it. And
I get that.
So, but I do get why we're not paying all of it. I know a couple of you weren't there, but, that's just my thought.
Well, I will rescind that motion then, and we'll move on.
Okay? Policies, or policy, Larry and Hood, we kind of touched on that already. Christine is still working on a draft we will have at the November meeting. Any questions on that?
The only concern I really had is I had asked to pull this invoice for the fact really what is involved in this invoice, because the document we were given, I was very unimpressed with. That it went through their lawyer, was checked through their lawyer, and so many spelling errors, so many, and I ate up her entire time asking questions. Yes, some of them I could have asked Angela, but again, you had us read through this policy to ask questions, and there were so many of them, duplicates, that I feel I'm just very unimpressed. And that's why I wanted to ask about the check, because I don't feel we're getting our bang from our buck for this. And maybe that's more of a question for you, Angela, because I don't know what is on the invoice that we're paying. I'm personally not impressed with the product we're getting.
Well, the policy is that thick. They
Yes.
aren't gonna do it for $100.
No, that's not what I mean, but it's just like, they missed capitalizing city like 7 times in one paragraph. And it's just, you know, how many, I found 2 different places where it was a repetition. And it's like, I feel like if you guys are reading through this and going through this, that shouldn't even be in there. And let alone having me catch it, being at the bottom of the totem pole. That's where I'm really frustrated with the service that we got from them. So that's why I was really talking about the check and what it was involved, and just to more express my concern that I personally, not impressed with them. Not impressed with this service that we're getting. So do you remember what is on the invoice? Was it for this Zoom meeting? And what would they have done? Okay.
I couldn't tell you exactly what.
Okay, so it truly wasn't, I want to not pay them, it was more pull it just to see what is actually going on, because I'm just really unimpressed with that. I mean, she was very good, she got great answers. From that meeting till now, I'm surprised she doesn't have it back to us, but yet I feel like there were a few things that she really did need to dig into.
And then the other question is, I did an information request to see the emails to see how it progressed from collectors to them. And they're saying that I cannot see it. The whole council can agree to let us see them email to see how it progressed. I just don't understand how we had what we had. Everything was, didn't hear nothing for a year, and then boom, now we're getting the flattery and good. I didn't see nothing come across the council desk. I didn't see anything. Nothing come through. Nothing was brought to our attention that this was gonna be moved. Nothing.
Well, I think we had put Angela on to deal with it, and that's what we do. We give her the authority to move forward with this, and when the other company couldn't do it, then they had to step in and do the document.
Shouldn't there be some communication with us when something like that is going on?
Rainey's talking about we micromanager. Well, I don't think we need to micromanage. I mean, evidently there's already a problem with it. Let's not micromanage her, let her do her job.
Okay, so then, we talked about transparency. Is there an issue why we can't, like, I would like to see what the transgression was and how, you know, the progression of this and how it ended up there. Can we see them emails?
So now you want to waste, do I care? Do I think that there's anything in there? No, but now you're gonna waste resources and dig up 2 years worth of emails back and forth so that you can dig through it and see what you can or can't find.
It'd be 4 years. 'cause we've been
No, it was
doing
only
this
2 years
for
that were
4 years.
The
requested.
point is, we're at this point now, we're almost to the finish line, and now you wanna dig up whatever you think is there or not there, and waste Angela's time, waste Flaherty and Hood's time when we have this document. What are we looking for in this document?
So
Or it's,
okay to have transparency though.
that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm not for is wasting resources.
Asking to see an employee's emails through the communication is not wasting resources.
How long is that gonna take you, Angela, to compile it?
I have no idea. Hours and hours, probably, 2 years, but I'll make clear what Alan Larson requested, a data request to me, asking for emails for 2 years. And I had some discussion with the attorney about some questions we had on our meeting after the Zoom, and I just asked her about it, and she says, it's attorney-client privilege. So let's be straight up and honest about it. Meaning, you as a council are the client, not one council member. So then she said, you must deny it because it meets state statute saying that he is not the client. You as a city is a client. If you guys wanna see emails, you want us to go through and dig through them and see it, you guys make a motion to do that. It's not one person coming and saying, I wanna see this information, I wanna look at that. It's the law that we're following, and I'm trying to follow the law. And Al seems to think that he can just tell me and he do it because he wants to bully his way into it. Try to make me break the law, but all I'm doing is following what the attorney said to do. Now, you guys as a council can decide you wanna do that, it's fine, there's nothing in there to hide, but you know what, you've been going through this for 3 years, you have somebody reviewed it and looked at it, I don't know what the big deal is about moving forward. Who else is working on this policy? Nobody, huh? Nobody. Once again, it goes to, well, we need this done, who's gonna do it? Nobody says, but Angela does it, well now, what? We get a backlash.
I'm asking why it changed lawyers when it was just about.
We have 2 attorneys, we have labor law, and I did explain this already to you. Tom sat on a phone call with you, when you came into my office, I explained this. And he said, it has to be comprehensive, it has to include all these things, we're not gonna do it. I talked to Tom later, he's like, we don't have time for this, you're not gonna follow our designation, then we're not doing it. And I said, well, can you work with somebody that can? And I said, connect with them.
Okay, and then what is the issue then? If that's the case and how you wanna word this, what is the issue of having city administrator removed / designee? Because that's very broad. That was never ever in Tom Flecker's stuff that we had.
Because we didn't have a comprehensive policy.
I mean, I can bring up my old stuff that you give us.
Well, you as a council decide that. You as a council, not you, the council. You might disagree, they might agree. Don't act like that was something I put in there. I did not put that in
I'm
there.
asking questions.
So am I, but you're not listening. The council decides. Sorry.
Then we should have had some conversation, I thought, when it moved to a different lawyer's office, and there was no giving, there was no warning, no nothing. Shouldn't that be brought in front of the council too? Is that not part of being transparent?
I remember back when we had some parking issues at the school, we had the same issue. I'm just bringing it up. You didn't seem to think we should do anything about it then. I don't know, I'm just bringing it up. Council, you can chime in anytime.
I don't think it's necessary to use resources going back and having our attorney dig up. I just don't think it's necessary. We have, so you say, this living, breathing document in front of us. So let's move forward with it. It's in front of us, so.
My biggest thing is I don't understand how we as a council have to vote for stuff. Like, that just baffles my mind.
What do you mean?
that we can't, to request something like this, we have to vote as a council to request something. Versus one person, I mean, if Al wants to dig into something, if Tim wants to dig into something and look and do research on their own time,
Right, but
Is
if
one
you
thing,
listen to
but-
what the attorney is telling you, we're not attorneys. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I feel like the attorney knows more than what we do. I mean, if he's saying, we as the council are the client, okay? We are the client sitting up here. Not Al Larson, not Laura Backus, not any single one of us. So I cannot go and request it. The whole council would have to do it. Now, someone can make a motion to do it, but I'll tell you right now, I'm not for wasting resources. Then we're gonna pay Flaherty and Hood for them to make copies of all these emails. I mean, I agree, I am one person, and just like the thing that I had to rescind, fine. We all decide as a council to do something, and then we move on, not one person. So if somebody wants to make that motion to do it, see how the council feels about it. But we gotta remember, we're each only one person. We all don't get to just say, I want this, and I think you should take city administrator out of there. That's not what we've ever talked about. The lady sat up there and said she recommended, because this document is gonna last us over 10 years, you should leave city administrator or designee in there. She was very clear on that. Now, Al seems to think he's smarter than the attorney, and we should change that up. I don't feel like I'm smarter than a city attorney, and I think we should listen to what she has to say. So that's my feeling on it.
Since we don't have a city administrator, who's picking the designee? Where does it say in there who picks the designee?
It will be announced at the time when we go through it.
She said you guys sit down and pick the designee if that's what you want, and it's not in the document, because then you're not having to go change it and give everybody a copy of everything you changed. You can have another document that says who the designee is.
I guess I've never seen a policy with language in it that doesn't have an individual in the policy that's actually listed. I've never seen that. I mean, we don't have a city administrator, we have a city clerk. They're two different things.
I think we've all agreed on that.
But did you listen to what she said?
I understand what she's trying to say, but
She
policy
said-
can be changed at any time. So when you get that city administrator, if it happens.
Would somebody like to
it'll
make
change.
that motion? Because we could be here till midnight fighting over this, and it's not worth it. Is there any one of these council members that would like to make a motion to move forward with that?
requesting the emails, or what are we making a motion on?
Correct. Exactly what Angela just discussed. If somebody wants to make that motion and you wanted to, isn't that what you just said?
That's what I said, it's up to the council, that's what.
Yeah.
that's
I'll go
all I
ahead
said.
and make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
I will second.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Motion fails. Okay, city dump. Angela, do you wanna talk about that?
Hold on, I had asked.
Oh, I'm sorry, you did.
I had someone ask me if they are here, just on a weekend, can the key be returned the next day? Because they aren't always able to return it, or can they return it in a Dropbox? And I feel like that's trying to accommodate to our people that live in the city. I don't know that there would be a huge problem with that, but I also don't go out there and see what happened. I feel like we should try to accommodate our community when they're trying to clean up their waste. So is that something that we could entertain the idea of letting them take the key overnight? So that they
Are
could
you
do
talking
it after like
weekend?
5? Yeah,
Okay.
right, so like if I were cleaning up brush, I work until 5:30 and then I work on the weekends, so.
Are we gonna open a can of worms? That's my question.
How many keys are we gonna have available?
I think they made 10. They made 10
Made
keys.
10, we put on your, like, well, not to duplicate, but at the time, Darren didn't want it over the weekend. And unfortunately, they went and spent a lot of money to clean that thing up. Within 2 days, they went over and moved some brush and there was bricks under it. 2 days. But, you know what, we're signing out keys now, they have to give us information, we can try it, they can watch it. I did say to them, I think it's gonna be hard to say people can't have it for a weekend or overnight, but that's what he wanted to start with, but.
I would like
I mean,
to, I would
we could
think
try
we
it.
could try it overnight. Just, I feel bad for some of these people that are only up on the weekends and they really are trying to just take care of the debris or whatever that happens to.
Yeah.
Or the individuals that are working and they can't get here in time to get it, you know,
And
So
we're
you're
never,
saying
we're never
weekend
gonna get.
overnight, but then returning it the next day, not keeping it for a week
Correct,
or.
correct.
Right.
It has
Get your
to
stuff
be,
done.
yep.
Well, is it better
Drop it in
to
the Dropbox on their way to work in the morning, or
Right,
whatever.
yeah.
do like every other weekend it's open on Saturday from 8 to 2, something like that? I mean,
Then
it
you're gonna get
runs into
people
the
from
same
the-
thing, but.
Don't say it's on train stuff anyway.
Yeah, I think we.
We had one guy come here and says, he had multiple people say, we just go to Osakis and you can dump your stuff. We have to head of the lake, he said, you guys can't do that. He said 5 people told him that.
Wow.
So how many years has that been going on, right?
Well, he said that, Darren said there's no way all that stuff came from down.
No.
Is the council okay with us just trying like a overnight, like a 24-hour?
They have to give you their address and where
Yeah.
they're coming from and all that stuff now, right?
Yeah.
Before they get a key.
Yeah, they do.
I'd be fine with trying it.
I'll give that a try.
Okay, thank you.
we need a motion for that.
I'll make a motion that on a trial basis, we do a key checkout of a 24-hour period.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
If we have some issues, I'll just give you guys a message.
Okay.
You know, if something happens and we gotta
Yep.
change our practice.
You know, unfortunately, one person may wreck it for everyone, but we can at least try.
Right.
Okay, then the last thing on our agenda here is Rini. Did we want to, what did we want to talk about?
Is it something you're able to close a meeting and discuss
We'll
matters?
we'll definitely have to put something for hire.
Like soon.
Saying that the liaison and the community get in touch with Angela here and get something going on it. Is my suggestion.
Yep, sounds for me.
Okay?
All right.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.